Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining our Buddhism meeting today. So, I'm going to talk about, first of all, a very, very common topic. It's a phrase that everybody must have come across sometime in their lives or have heard many people saying this. The phrase is, it's impossible. Now, to start with, I will repeat an experience I had years ago with a friend of mine. She has been living in Hong Kong for a few years. Her family is in New York. And she was going to go back to New York. So I went to see her and I went to congratulate her. And then she said, well, I'm going to fly in 30 days' time because I'm not happy with my job. And for months, I have not been able to find a good job. So I'm going to go back. But now I've got the ticket and everything. I don't want to go anymore because my friends are all in Hong Kong. So I told her at that time, I said, well, we don't know what is best for you, but what we can do is I'm going to share with you a chanting, only 6 words, that will help you decide or pave the way for you. Well, after chanting, 2 things will happen. Might happen. It's either there is some very good news in New York that you would want to fly quickly over back. And the other thing is, there will be a very good job for you in Hong Kong that you may want to stay. And at that time, it was exactly what she said. It's impossible. She told me that she has been looking for a good job, for another job for months, and there was no results. And that's why she wanted to go back to New York. But I told her, I said, when you say it's impossible, it's because either your exposure is not wide enough, or your knowledge is limited to your education, or your experience is limited to your age. But the universe has much, much bigger power than what you can comprehend. I said that before you go back, if Hong Kong is good for you, then the job will come before you go back. So I started to chat with her for 5 minutes, and she said she felt very good after chanting. It was on a Sunday, and then the next Saturday, that is 6 days later, she called me and said, Lydia, you won't believe it. Yesterday, that was a Friday, I received an offer from a job which I've been wanted for a month and been interviewed, but I haven't received anything. But yesterday, they gave me an offer. So what she thought was impossible, actually with chanting is possible. And I think she's still in Hong Kong right now and she's living very, very happily. So this is why I deliberately chose this topic to encourage everyone to go beyond your knowledge, go beyond your limits, and don't think it's impossible. Because in Buddhism, everything is possible. Nichiren Buddhism holds the key to helping others build an indestructible palace of happiness within their lives. We must share this key with others, and we must learn to utilize it to the maximum within our own lives. How? By chanting, by believing in yourselves, by practicing Nichiren Buddhism. Let me go on. I find that when we judge our ability to accomplish our goals through intellectual analysis rather than faith. Now I'm going to share with you another experience. There was a member that I met in Australia. She had come across chanting, but there was no breakthrough. She was not able to achieve anything. And I've tried to talk to her many, many times. And one time I was going to meet her in a shopping mall, and Chloe was sitting next to me. And then I said to Chloe, I don't understand why she has no improvement in her life. And Chloe, at her young age, was able to say she was trying to analyze this mystic law. This is why she could not comprehend the power, because she cannot analyze. We cannot analyze. The mystic law is beyond our own thinking, beyond our own knowledge. Even scientists cannot explain how it works. So please don't try to analyze. Just try to believe. So we don't analyze. Rather, we will have faith. We concede to defeat, even though we practice this great teaching. If we fail to employ the strategy of the Lotus Sutra, we tend to perceive that our goals are unattainable and do not even bother to challenge them through faith, thus making our mistake a reality. I think I remember seeing an encouragement by Sensei. He said, when you sow a seed, it takes time to grow. But once you sow the seed in the soil with action, you water, you fertilize, you give it sunshine, at times it will grow. But when the seed is in the soil, you cannot see it grow. And then you think it's useless. That is because you don't have the patience, you don't have the faith that it will grow. Nichiren Daishonin says, if you only chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, then what offense could fail to be eradicated? What blessing could fail to come? This is the truth, and it is of great profundity. You should believe and accept it. Now is the time to make these words a reality in our lives. We must experience how transforming the power of faith is by mustering the courage to challenge the impossible. After all, as Nichiren warns us in reply to Kyo, he says a coward cannot have any of his prayers answered, and the mighty sword of the Lotus Sutra must be used by one courageous in faith. Now again, I repeat my own experience. When I was in Sydney, our dental surgery had got problems with employing dental nurses or dental assistants. So after a year of seeing what is happening, without any experience, without any knowledge, I decided to work as a dental assistant. Because I believe, now please do not turn on your mic. I believe that if I want to do something, I can. So I went into the dental surgery and sat there for 3 months, watching what the dental assistant was doing and asking the dental assistant questions. She thought I was helping her, but I was learning from her. And after 3 months, without any proper training, I can work as a dental assistant. So there is nothing that is called impossible. It's only whether you are determined to do or achieve what you want, because the power is within you. Therefore, our theme of making the impossible possible embraces 2 objectives. First, it is for everyone to challenge his limitations daily. And second, to wholeheartedly apply their time and effort toward helping others win over their challenges. That is Shakubuku and Kozen Rufu. If we exert ourselves for Buddhism and the happiness of others, President Ikeda says, we ourselves and everything around us will shine brightly. In contrast, self-centered actions only inflict only suffering on others and finally on yourself. It is also important that we support one another until everyone achieves a victory. This is why we are doing the hour of united prayer every day, in which we are praying for every person to experience the limitless potential of his or her life through faith. Every person to awaken his mission to spread Nichiren Buddhism. This prayer significantly includes everyone, not just women. Of course, in addition to prayer, it is vital that we visit other members, call and inspire them to go for their dreams, to use faith to challenge the impossible and to never ever give up. We must also commit ourselves to sharing Nichiren Buddhism with others. For me, after returning to Hong Kong, I had face-to-face meetings with a few members, and it was very constructive, and there was a lot of satisfaction in both of us. Whereas in Australia, I must say that I didn't have much chance to do so because everybody was busy with their work or home, or we live too far away, and we have to make great effort to meet each other. This is why I didn't have much chance. But back in Hong Kong, now I know why I'm back in Hong Kong, because I think my mission is in Hong Kong. It's much easier for me to meet with other members and share the encouragement. Today, people are yearning for hope, to know that they can lead a fulfilled daily existence while making this world a better place. Nichiren Buddhism has the key to make this possible. Now, next I'm going to talk about silent prayers, which we do every day after Gongyo, after chanting. A frequently asked question concerns the quality of silent prayers, as they are not part of the Lotus Sutra. Inner determination, self-motivation, and gratitude are essential elements of Buddhism. Thus, silent prayers were later combined to create a moment of absolute concentration, in which gratitude could be expressed with sincerity and clarity. Expressing gratitude to the Gohonsen, the three mentors, the protective forces of the universe, to one's companions and one's family. I think I've talked many times about gratitude. It is important that we have gratitude in our behavior, in our thinking, in our everyday life. The more you are grateful for what's happening to you, the happier you are, and the happier you can make other people. It is with gratitude that you will start to appreciate everything in your life. And then, with this kind of spirit, more good things will come to you. For instance, if I've done something good to you, and that person appreciates, then that person will be prone to be more kind to you. And your relationship will be much better and better. But to give you an experience, years ago, when I was in Sydney, I used to prepare lunch for my husband, and sometimes I prepare sandwiches, and every day I use different ingredients for the sandwiches. At one time, I bought a specialty roast pork, and I put in a sandwich. And when he came back home, I asked him, "How did you like your lunch?" And he shook his head with a not appreciative gesture. He said, "It's just lunch." From that moment onward, I stopped making lunches for him. Because if people do not appreciate what I'm doing, why waste my time? Okay, let me go on. We must also express the determination to fulfill our own mission, praying for our own personal development and achievements to create the necessary conditions to actively participate the great task of creating human values. And this without forgetting our deceased loved ones any day of the week, of the year. Because in the silent prayer, we offer prayers to our deceased relatives and to relatives of other members. There are several important matters for which we should pray. If we focus our hearts on our mission as Bodhisattvas of the land, if we pray earnestly and sincerely, we will gradually be able to fully concentrate on the Gohonsen. If we chant Daimoku with this attitude, our various daily worries will be resolved. It is very common to read prayers automatically, with the mind and heart seemingly preoccupied with daily worries, while the text is skimming quickly. That is, you're just reading the words without your heart being there. Silent prayers are offered from the heart. When you thank the presidents, the Gohonsen, and Soten Senju, you really, from the heart, you thank them. Therefore, even if the silent prayer, read the text of the prayers mentally, their content will be the feeling that occupies our heart at that moment. Therefore, when offering silent prayers, let us be careful. The feelings that come over us are faithfully transmitted to the Gohonsen. Offering silent prayers correctly is a decisive action. The prayers we offer reflect our state of life. They must be concrete, serious, sincere, and determined. The time for silent prayers varies from person to person, and it is a fact that accustomed to our own personal time, when leading Gongyo in activities, we often overlook the time of those following us. Let me try to explain. I have experienced times when the leader in leading the Gongyo or the chanting just do on and on and on and on. At one time it was so fast that none of us could follow. And sometimes the members will not even bother to follow the leader. So there was no harmony, no rhythm. So it is important that if we chant together, we have to follow the rhythm. This is the rhythm of life and the rhythm of the universe. And also showing a respect for others in the chanting group. Many practitioners of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo notice the same thing. As soon as they begin chanting seriously, or when they deepen their practice, obstacles and difficulties often appear. Here's why it happens. Number 1, the principle of shakubuku, that is, telling others about Nam-myoho Renge Kyo and teaching them to chant. Chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is like turning on a powerful light. Darkness, for example, ignorance, Negativity, bad causes, attachments cannot remain hidden anymore. Those forces resist being transformed, so they manifest as obstacles. Well, another simple example is when you want to clear a blocked pipe, you use a lot of effort to force the water into the pipe, so the dirt will come out. Number 2, the devil king of the sixth heaven and your inner resistance. Nichiren wrote that the moment we seek enlightenment, fundamental darkness, that is our tendency toward doubt, fear, and negativity, will try to pull us back. These inner forces sometimes described as devilish functions, rise up because our chanting threatens to break free from them. Number 3, your karma servicing to be resolved. Karma from past causes can remain dormant. Chanting activates the deep wellspring of Buddhahood in our lives, and at the same time, it speeds up the working out of past karma. Obstacles that might have appeared slowly over many years may come up more quickly, so they can be overcome, just like my example about the block type. Number 4, a sign of true practice. Nichiren Buddhism wrote that encountering obstacles is proof that one is practicing correctly. If nothing happens, it may mean that we are not challenging our life deeply. Obstacles are not punishment. They are opportunities to transform karma and strengthen faith. Number 5, polishing the diamond of faith. Just as obstacles grow stronger through resistance, our lives grow stronger through overcoming challenges with faith. Each obstacle overcome through chanting becomes a source of unshakable confidence and proof of the Gohonzon's power within us. In my 20-odd years of practice, I have come across time and time again a lot of challenges, but I was able to overcome them with faith in the Buddhism, in the Gohonzon, in myself, and in the chanting. And every time I've come across an obstacle, I'm in a better situation. Just like when we take an exam, before the exam you have to study, you have to work very hard, but then after the exam, you are promoted to the next level. In short, obstacles after chanting are not a bad sign. They are like a storm that comes just before the air clears. They show that your practice is working, and they contain the seed of growth, benefit, and transformation. Your present painstaking efforts definitely ensure that you will experience great development in the future. A Buddhist must have a spirit as indomitable as a wall of solid rock. Weakness is harmful and damaging. We must have a spirit as strong as steel and the heart of a lion. Indomitable faith and persistent courage give us the capacity to embrace others with limitless warmth and compassion. True kindness to others must always be backed by inner strength. Yeah, this is true. Sometimes I need to draw up my strength to talk to a member whom I think may not be able to understand or was very lost. I have to pull up my strength and wisdom to talk to them. Many accidents happen in society. Caution is of course important, but there is a limit to how cautious we can be. Whether one is conscious, aware of it or not, the only sure and fundamental precaution is earnest prayer to the Gohonzon. And if you look at our prayer beads on the left-hand side, where there are two bigger, I don't know how to call it, I say balls, 2 balls on the left-hand side and 3 balls on the right-hand side. And on your left-hand side, if you look lower down, you see 4 little beads. And the 4 little beads represent 4 Buddhas. If you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you have 4 Buddhas to protect you, 2 in front and 2 behind. And you are always being protected and away from mishaps. Even if your karma shows that you will have some accident, it would be very, very minor because you are being protected. There are no deadlocks when you have faith. Through faith, you can overcome any and all problems and eternally advance towards even more expansive horizons of hope. This is the most wonderful way to live. Hope costs nothing. It is free. Yet, it is the same time that it is most valuable treasure in our life. I remember seeing a YouTube explaining about what Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is your own life, is the power. And then at the end of this YouTube, it says, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is hope. You know, hope is so important. If you have no hope, you don't have a life to live. Your life is miserable. It is only when you have hope that you can go forward and you will take proper action, you will grow, and you will be happy because there is hope. When you reach an old age, you know in your heart if you are satisfied with your life or not. It doesn't have to be when you reach an old age. Every day you can ask yourself, am I satisfied with my life? If not, what can I do to change it? If you don't know how, ask the Gohonzon, how do I want to change my situation? How can I change it? No one else can know this or decide it for you. The great challenge we face in our rapidly aging society is whether we can honestly say at the end of our days on this earth that our life was well spent. Well, I would again add on to say that it doesn't have to be at the end of the life. Every day, when you go to bed, you can ask yourself, am I happy with what I've done? Well, even though you have problems in your life, you can still be happy because you know you can solve them. And you can be happy because you have encouraged somebody and you've done something good. So if you can do that every day, I'm 100% sure that your life will be better and better and better, and you'll be more fortunate and happy. Meeting others face to face is the only way. Meeting in person forges bonds of trust and brings people together. I remember a week ago, I had a face-to-face meeting with a member whom I have not seen for years and years and years. And the minute we met, it's like we have never separated. We felt so good. And we were able to share views, challenges, and the bond is very strong. It is because we are able to talk openly, face to face. That helps. Our organization has achieved global development that it has today precisely because we have carried out such one-to-one dialogue. This is the unwavering formula by which the development of our movement unfolds. Now I'm going to share with you an experience from a member who used to live in Cambodia. It's not a very pleasing experience, what she went through, but I'm going to share with you and see how she handled it. Let me start. She says, for 40 years, I was haunted by voices. The sound of whippings, the screams of human misery. I try hard to erase these memories. Now I've come to see that they are a part of a history that must be kept alive for the sake of our future. I was 15 years old when the Khmer Rouge, which is the Communist Party, formed in Cambodia. It came to power. Young woman eating a meal under the watch of Khmer Rouge, the threat of violence was always present. It was a time that is hard for anyone to imagine. Markets, schools, and temples were suddenly closed down. Money had no value, and all personal ownership was ended. Houses, land, crops, vehicles, livestock, even jewelry, all personal property was confiscated. We were told that everything we owned needed to fit into a small bag. The Khmer Rouge divided everyone into separate groups based on age, gender, and marital status, and we had to live together in these groups. My family, like others, was broken up in this way. I was part of a mobile unit that was constantly relocated from one area to another to work in the fields. We worked with hardly any rest, from morning to evening and sometimes through the night. People died of starvation and disease. Even the fruit on the trees was seen as property of the state and couldn't be picked and eaten without authorization. The hardest thing was the constant fear of being killed. Anyone considered as an intellectual was put to death, as well as anyone from a wealthy family, teachers, soldiers, former government officials, people accused of being lazy or even working too hard, entertainers, and those who were considered too attractive. All of these people were targets to be destroyed. It is estimated that a quarter of the population, close to 2 million people, died or were killed. Well, why is this happening to me? What is life? What is the meaning of life? In January 1979, the Khmer Rouge regime collapsed. I was 19 years old. I didn't know if I was alive or dead, but I felt dead inside. After a long time, I was reunited with my family. But 2 of my brothers had died, one of starvation and the other by suicide. I was regularly haunted by hallucinations, the fierce eyes of watchers in the trees, and scenes of being whipped. I asked myself, why is this happening to me? What is life? What is the meaning of life? One day, I was listening to a radio program, and the host talked about Nichiren Buddhism. I was fascinated to hear about the mystic law of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and the idea that those who chant this phrase can draw their potential and attainable absolute happiness in life. I contacted SGI Cambodia and was connected to local members. I wanted to know how I could overcome the anger and sadness of my past. I had no idea of how to do that, except through practicing this Buddhism. In SGI, I discovered a place where people could open their hearts and talk about anything, such as pain, bad experiences, weaknesses, courage, a place where people respect and encourage each other with warm hearts, creating hope in their lives and building strong relationships. I came to see that it was the human heart that caused the slaughter of so many people. So it is the human heart that needs to change. And I totally agree with that. When your heart changes, everything changes. Let me go on. That's when the idea to record what I have experienced as a teenager during the massacre was born. And I found what it was that I could do for peace. In Cambodia, every survivor has lost relatives or friends, but people don't talk about it because it's too painful. However, when I learned that President Ikeda has spent decades writing the novels The Human Revolution and The New Human Revolution in order to leave behind a philosophy of peace, I began to change my perspective. I felt that it was my mission to pass on the lessons of the past to future generations. I began to feel that since the Cambodian people has suffered so greatly, they should be able to contribute enormously to peace. No massacre ever again. I don't know when I began to feel so stable psychologically, but I know it was because I was practicing this Buddhism that helps. It requires deep and proper healing to achieve true happiness in our lives. I feel like I have succeeded in changing my karma. I think about and understand things differently than before. My perspective on life has changed, and I have become a person who wants to contribute to other people's lives, society, and the world. The pain of the past has disappeared and become a lesson. The resentment has disappeared and been replaced by compassion. There is always a value that can be created out of any experience. Well, I really can comprehend with this phrase because I was able to create value out of any challenges or painful experiences. For this member, for her, that was writing. She put everything into writing so that she could play her part in preventing massacre from ever happening again. So thank you very much. This is all I have to share today.